Happy Friday! Today I thought I would read to you from my Royal Romance Christmas Novella. It's called Once Upon a Midnight Clear. It's basically every Hallmark movie you've ever seen where the prince falls in love with an American girl, but it's from the jilted princess's perspective because I believe she's the victim, not the villain. I wrote this book last year. My mom and my sister and I, we have this tradition of watching basically every Christmas Hallmark movie that airs. And last year, my mom went through kind of a rough time. She lost a very, very good friend of hers. And I'd always joked about writing a book like this, but I never really considered it until Donna passed away. And I wrote this for my mom and for Donna, so that, to make her Christmas just a little, I guess, better. And I ended up really loving the characters. I'm actually working on a sequel right now, and I'm hoping it will be out by next Christmas. So, without further ado, this is Once Upon a Midnight Clear. Chapter 1. Royal Wedding Countdown. Only 3 weeks left. Nicholas and Britt, happily ever after, in the making. San Cecilia's very own Cinderella, set to marry Prince Charming on Christmas Day. Prince Nicholas was never one to believe in fairy tales, until an enchanting young travel writer appeared on the scene. After a chance meeting on the square, and more than a few romantic walks through the castle gardens, the handsome prince got down on one knee and asked Brittany Walker for her hand. A commoner by birth, the lovely and spirited Miss Walker has adapted to her newfound place in the public eyes with grace and humility. She'll be the perfect princess, a source close to the royal couple claims. She loves Nicholas, and she loves the people of San Cecilia, and by all accounts, the feeling is mutual. Although the soon-to-be HRH has indeed captured the hearts of her future subjects, certain members of the royal family were not so easily won. It has been understood for years that Prince Nicholas would marry Princess Rosalind of Mondovia. Breaking that betrothal was a risky political move for the Principality of San Cecilia, but Nicholas was most insistent. If he couldn't marry Britt, then he wouldn't marry at all. In the months following her royal engagement, Miss Walker has attended princess lessons, met with foreign dignitaries, and even accompanied Prince Nicholas to state dinners. In addition, she has immersed herself in the royal charities and has become a goodwill ambassador for numerous causes and organizations. She may not be of royal blood, but in her heart, Brittany Walker is the very definition of a princess. And in the end, the heart is all that matters. Oh, and by the way, this is all set in Europe, but I'm not doing an accent because I didn't want to offend anyone. I'm not a good actress, y'all. You're doing it again, aren't you? Once upon a time, I truly believed that having my own office in my own wing of the palace meant that I would finally have a space all to myself. A sanctuary, if you will. Or if not a sanctuary, then at least a personal retreat, which would require one to knock before entering. I think it goes without saying that that was a dream that did not come true. No, I answer automatically, shutting my laptop before my nosy brother can peer over my shoulder. You're lying. No, I'm not. Princesses never lie. We embellish. You know you're not doing yourself or anybody any favors by obsessing over those articles, Robert declares, making himself comfortable on my sofa. If anything, you're only making yourself more miserable. Thank you for that, oh fount of all wisdom. Come on, Rose. I thought you had gotten past all this. I have, but have you seen the headlines? San Cecilia's own Cinderella. She's not one of their own. She's an American. She's from Indiana. Oh, and she's not a travel writer either. She's a travel agent who just happens to have a blog. My God, have you any idea how petty you sound? Yes, actually, I am well aware. Just as I'm sure he's aware of how amused he sounds. Perhaps I'd be laughing too, if I weren't the one San Cecilia's so-called Prince Charming had so unceremoniously rejected. I suppose you have every right to be. I know this hasn't been easy for you, Robert sighs, toying with the golden ring on his right hand. How are you doing? As a working royal and heir to our father's throne here in Mondovia, Robert rarely finds time to exchange pleasantries or engage in heart-to-heart talks with his sullen little sister, so I appreciate his asking. I don't know, I finally answer. In a lot of ways, I think I'm still trying to process everything. After all, my entire life was thrown off course the moment Nicholas announced his intention to marry Miss Walker. My future, which had once been set in stone, was suddenly a blank slate. Others may have found it freeing. Me? I just felt lost. I think there's a part of me that truly believed that it wouldn't happen, that he wouldn't really go through with it. I think we all harbored similar doubts. My brother's eyes are warm and sympathetic. I've always envied him those eyes. He inherited our father's hazel eyes that shine a brilliant green and gold in the sunlight. Our mother and I, on the other hand, share eyes so dark brown that they appear almost black, even on the brightest of days. I suppose I should be grateful, I muse aloud. It's not like he left me nursing a broken heart. You really don't love him? Well, of course I love him. We've known each other our whole lives. But I was never in love with him. At least I don't think I was. Had I fantasized about our life together? Certainly. Had I dreamed of my wedding day? Without a doubt. But looking back, none of those daydreams or fleeting fancies had anything to do with Nicholas himself. They were more about finally taking my place in the world, and of all the wonderful things that were supposed to be waiting for me. As special as Nicholas is to me, I've never felt my heart skip a beat when I catch a glimpse of him from across the room, or fallen asleep imagining myself in his arms. Still, that doesn't make it any easier to watch the man I was supposed to marry walk down the aisle with someone else. Yet you still would have married him, Robert asks. You know I would have. It may not have been my dream to marry Nicholas, but it was my duty, and for the past 27 years, duty is all I've known. That's what sets us apart. I'm not sure I could go through with an arranged marriage. You would if it was what was best for your country. Robert looks like he wants to contradict me, but we both know it's the truth. There are many privileges to being born royal, but personal interest isn't one of them. Knock, knock, knock. Neither is privacy. Yes, come in, I call to the person outside of my office. The door opens slowly, and Mrs. Aldridge, my mother's personal secretary, steps inside. I beg your pardon, Your Royal Highness, but Her Majesty wishes to speak with you. Both of us? Robert asks. No, Your Royal Highness, just Princess Rosalind. I'll be right down, I promise. Thank you, Mrs. Aldridge. Mrs. Aldridge nods politely before exiting the room. Well, I mustn't keep Mother waiting, I announce, closing my computer and rising up to straighten my skirt. Wait, Robert stops me. I know that you know this, but as your brother, I feel I need to say it at least once more. Go on. You're strong, Rose. You're strong and you're brave, and I want you to remember that next time you're tempted to lock yourself away here in your tower of isolation and self-pity. It's my office. I'm supposed to lock myself in here. Be that as it may, I don't want to walk in again to find you scowling at your computer screen. Then knock. I'm not teasing. I'm absolutely serious. But he laughs nevertheless. And I suppose that's why I love him. My mother is already sipping her afternoon tea when I arrive in the sitting room. It's a beautiful space with a soothing atmosphere and burgundy carpet, lush beige sofas, and quaint crystal chandeliers. It's where I go when I want to feel truly at home. I'll settle in with a blanket and a good book, or perhaps paint the flowers in the gardens below. Or, in this instance, enjoy a cup of tea with my mother while she discusses matters which, I'm sure, are of the utmost importance. Rosalind, darling, come in, she smiles. She's already poured me a cup of tea, which generally means she's hoping to get straight to business. Sure enough, I've barely taken a seat in the chair next to her before she says, I've just spoken with Isabel. Princess Isabel is Nicholas's mother. Since San Cecilia is a principality, it's ruled by a prince and princess, rather than a king and queen. Oh? How is she? As one might expect, with a wedding in 3 weeks. That's my mother's polite way of saying that her friend is under an inordinate amount of stress. Well, I'm sure she was delighted to hear from you. Yes. In fact, she asked me if I would be willing to fly down in a few weeks early to lend a helping hand and a smiling face, which of course I would if my schedule would permit. But you know how overwhelming the holiday season can be. She doesn't have to explain it to me. The days and weeks leading up to Christmas are the busiest time of the year for our family. There are dinners and balls and charity appearances, not to mention the personal visits to our extended family and close friends. I love Christmas, and I always have, but I dare say it would be nice to take things slow for once and really savor the season. I'm certain she understands, I tell my mother. Oh, of course she does. However, oh no. I don't know what she's about to say to me, but I can tell by the way she's fiddling with her teaspoon that she knows I won't be happy to hear it. I do want her to know that she has our family's full support, she continues. That's why I was wondering if it wouldn't be a good idea, don't say it, for you to go in my place. Oh, you said it. You want me to go to San Cecilia? Yes. To the castle? Yes. For 3 weeks? You'll be so busy your time will fly by, Mother assures me. Just think, you'll get to go to the banquets and dress fittings and rehearsals. Mother, please know that I say this with the utmost respect, but I can't think of anything I'd rather not do. Oh, but darling, don't you see? This is a wonderful opportunity for you to act as an ambassador for Mondovia, not to mention a chance to show the people of San Cecilia and the rest of the world that the bond between our nations is stronger than ever. Yes, all that sounds well and good, but you know the press is going to obliterate me the moment I set foot in San Cecilia. They're not going to see a goodwill gesture between nations. They're going to see a jilted bride seeking revenge and trying to sabotage the wedding, just like they did after Nicholas and Miss Walker first announced their engagement. Not if you show up with a smile on your face. I could show up wearing a Team Brittany t-shirt and they'd still think I only came to try to win Nicholas back. Then let them think it. It doesn't matter. What matters is your love and support for Nicholas, and for Miss Walker. I avert my gaze. I know she's right, and she knows she has me. Very well, I sigh. When do I leave? I think I'll go on to chapter 2. This video is only 11 minutes long. I can read another chapter. Chapter 2. San Cecilia is a small landlocked nation on the Iberian Peninsula with a population of just around 85,000. Surrounded by majestic mountains that glow with lush green foliage in the summertime and sparkle with fresh snow in the winter, San Cecilia used to be one of the avid European travelers' best-kept secrets. Needless to say, everything changed when Prince Nicholas announced his intention to marry an American. Now the once quiet streets are constantly bustling with starry-eyed foreigners hoping to find their own happily ever after. In a lot of ways, the thriving tourism industry has been wonderful for San Cecilia, and especially its capital city, Valonia. But I also know that its residents miss their days of peace and simplicity. Due to aforementioned vacationers, it takes the royal motorcade nearly 2 hours to reach the castle, a journey that used to take a mere 30 minutes. Fortunately, the world outside my window is beautiful, and I have my lady-in-waiting, Sophie, to keep me company. Standing amidst a grove of frosted covered trees and blanketed by a layer of snow, the castle itself is a vision of winter magic. Although slightly smaller than our palace back home, it's always reminded me of a castle you'd see in a storybook, with its stone walls and lofty turrets. Passing the familiar castle guards, Sophie and I finally step through the castle doors and into the grand foyer, where Felipe, the royal family's gatekeeper, greets us with a bow and a fond grin. Bienvenida, princess. I trust you had a pleasant flight, he asks. It was lovely. Thank you, Felipe, I reply. Rosalind! A new voice echoes across the hall. I turn to see my lifelong friend and former attendant, His Royal Highness Prince Nicholas. He is as charming and polished as ever in his typical designer suit, but there's something different about him. His dark hair is a little longer than I remember, his smile a little brighter. But it's in his eyes, those captivating gray eyes, that I see the true transformation. His eyes, once so stern and serious, are now alight with joy and wonder, and love. So much love. Oh, and by the way, when I wrote Prince Nicholas, I was imagining Gael Garcia Bernal, because he's adorable and beautiful, and I love him. Hello, my friend, he says, welcoming me with a warm embrace. Nicholas, I can't help but smile. You look wonderful. I feel wonderful, and I'm so glad you're here. And Sophie, welcome. Thank you, Your Highness, Sophie curtsies. Come, follow me, Nicholas says, taking my hand and guiding me toward the corridor. I want you to meet Brittany. Oh, now? I had hoped I might get the chance to freshen up, perhaps even shower, before being formally introduced to Miss Walker. See, she's very excited to meet you. And of course, my mother is waiting to welcome you too. He leads me to the castle library, where an elegant, dark-haired woman sits by the fire, sorting through a chest of Christmas ornaments, while a petite blonde girl dressed in an oversized jumper, leggings, and boots hangs a glittering poinsettia on the tree in the center of the room. Look who finally showed up, Nicholas announces. Rosalind, oh my dear, it is so wonderful to see you, Princess Isabel exclaims, rising to greet me. You as well, your highness. Thank you for having me. I adore Princess Isabel. For as long as I can remember, she's been a second mother to me. She's kind, she's compassionate, and she's the sort of person who makes everyone around her feel at home. Oh, the pleasure is ours. Rosalind, finally! The blonde girl in boots approaches with an eager wave and smiles at me as though we've known each other our whole lives. It's so nice to meet you. I'm Brittany. And then this girl, who is, in fact, a perfect stranger, throws her arms around me, all but knocking the air clear out of my lungs. I'm so startled that I take an involuntary step back, nearly colliding with Nicholas. Whoa, careful, he laughs. I'm sorry, did I do something wrong? Brittany asks. No, not at all, Miss Walker, I assure her. Forgive me, I'm not accustomed to so much enthusiasm. I know I'm supposed to curtsy and all that, but Nick has told me so many nice things about you. I feel like we're practically family. Nick? I must not have heard her correctly. That's what Britt calls me, Nicholas explains, blushing all the way to his ears. Oh, how charming. I'll admit I've never been one for nicknames or abbreviations. True, Robert calls me Rose, but he's my brother. He's permitted. Rosalind, is there anything we can get you? Water? Tea? I have some fresh Christmas cookies baking in the kitchen. Brittany smiles. Thank you, but I was actually wondering if I might rinse off in the shower before settling in. Of course, my dear. You do whatever you need, and join us again when you're ready, Isabel says. We'll be decorating all afternoon. And then, after dinner, we're having a movie night, Brittany announces. We're going to change into our pajamas, make popcorn, spread out a dozen blankets in front of the fire, and watch Christmas movies. You're welcome to join us. We might even have a surprise for you, Nicholas adds. For me? I ask. What is it? If we told you, it wouldn't be a surprise. This is strange. The Nicholas I know doesn't do surprises. Neither do I, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think it's fair to say I'm feeling a little apprehensive. I try not to let it show, however, as Felipe arrives to escort me to my bedroom. It is such a delight to have you here with us, Princessa, he says, especially considering the special circumstances. I don't have to ask what he means, but I do wish he hadn't said it. I'm happy to know that there are those out there who don't view me as the villain of Nicholas and Brittany's story. Now, if only they wouldn't cast me as the victim. Thank you, Felipe. I'm happy to be here. It is going to be a wonderful holiday. You'll see. I nod politely, hoping with all I have in me that he's right. Finally, we arrive at my bedroom, where Sophie has already unpacked my belongings and laid out a new outfit for tonight. She rises up out of her chair as soon as I walk in. Not out of respect, mind you. She wants to hear all about Nicholas's new bride-to-be. Well, she asks, did you meet her? I did. And? Let it be known that a princess never engages in gossip, unless she's with her lady-in-waiting. She's very friendly. Oh? She hugged me. Oh. But she seems to be a very good person, and Nicholas, well, I've never seen him so happy, I tell her. She was wearing leggings, though, in the presence of Princess Isabel. You're joking. And boots. You mean, like the kind you see on teenagers in television shows? And Her Royal Highness was okay with this? She didn't seem to mind at all. Fascinating. Then Miss Walker invited me to a movie night. Oh, that was nice of her. Are you going to go? I don't know. Nicholas said they had a surprise for me. What sort of surprise? I'm almost afraid to find out. Maybe it's an early Christmas present, like a new scarf or leggings, Sophie giggles. Very funny. I cast her a sidelong glance before gathering up my clothes and retreating to the bathroom for a well-deserved and long overdue shower. By the time I arrive back in the library, the Christmas tree is almost fully decorated, and a plate of fresh gingerbread cookies sits waiting on the desk in the corner of the room. Perfecto! You're just in time, Nicholas exclaims. Just in time for what? I ask. Your surprise has arrived. Oh, I glance around the library. I don't see a surprise. Stay here. I'll go fetch it. Nicholas grins before darting out of the room, leaving me alone with his mother and Brittany. Should I be nervous? I ask Princess Isabel. Not at all, Brittany answers for her. You're going to love it. And you look absolutely gorgeous. Why, thank you. It's an unexpected, though not unwelcome compliment. You look lovely as well. As far as appearances go, Brittany and I could not be more dissimilar. Whereas she is fair and delicate, almost elfin in appearance, I am tall, brunette, and shapely. And although I have been raised to never equate physical beauty with self-worth, standing next to Brittany, I suddenly find myself feeling terribly inadequate. Before I'm able to dwell on this new sense of insecurity, the door opens and Nicholas reappears, still smiling as broadly as before. Only now, he's not alone. He's accompanied by a young man with impeccably styled light brown hair, blue eyes, and a confident smile. He's dressed in a tan suit, and around his wrist glistens a golden watch that must have cost more than a small fortune. Your Highnesses, Nicholas announces, may I present Lord Weston Bentley. Ah, yes, Lord Weston, welcome, Princess Isabel smiles. Thank you, Your Royal Highness, the young man bows. And may I just say what a privilege it is to be invited to share the holiday season with you. Think nothing of it. We are delighted to have you. So delighted, Brittany exclaims, running to embrace Weston. Thank you for coming. I wouldn't miss your wedding for the world, Weston assures her before turning his gaze to me. While I am sufficiently surprised by his presence, I can't help but notice he doesn't seem at all surprised to see me. Weston, surely you remember Princess Rosalind, Nicholas says. I've been formally introduced to Lord Weston on more than one occasion, but we've not spent much time in one another's company. Yes, of course I do. It's good to see you again, Your Highness. He steps forward to take my hand. And you, Lord Weston. I trust life is treating you well? Very well, Your Highness. Thank you, he smiles. And if I may say so, you are looking positively resplendent. Oh my, that's a bit much, isn't it? How kind of you, I say. Isn't she gorgeous? I was literally just telling her that before you guys walked in, Brittany claims. I don't know if it's something in her tone, or the way that she's watching Lord Weston and me like we're characters out of her favorite romantic comedy, but it's in that moment that everything becomes clear. I'm not here because Princess Isabel needs help with the wedding. I'm not even here to befriend Miss Walker. I'm here to be courted. If you would like to read more of Once Upon a Midnight Clear, it's available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle Unlimited, and I will probably be reading more of it in the days to come since I've just heard our quarantine may be extended. Stay tuned.